Now let's take a look at probably the most important aspect of making sure you get the highest quality image that your camera can generate, and that is the workflow from the minute you capture the image until you output it to whatever you're going to do with it, be that the internet, your own personal portfolio, to print the image, or what have you. So let's take a look at the list that we have here. These are 10 steps called Workflow for Raw Image Processing, and number 1 is plug in the card reader and ignore the prompts to download images into software. And this refers back to the lesson previously where I said that don't become a slave to software. Don't let the tail wag the dog. Inevitably, when you plug in your CF card or your SD card, this is what happens. Now, be it Photos or Lightroom or whatever program you've trained to open whenever you put a card reader or an SD card into the side of your Mac, whatever your physical situation is, this inevitably can happen. And that is, Photos opens automatically and you look and you see, whoa, there's all my pictures. And up here it says import all new photos. Isn't this easy? And so you click on it, everything downloads, then you pick one. Let's just pick this one and double click on it. So you import. And now that you've imported it, you can share it a half dozen different ways, and then come over here and you can do adjustments on the image. It's all so easy. Why would I need to do anything else? Well, now what? Okay, where are your images? You don't know where your images are. And so the issue is, don't do it this way. Ignore the prompts to download the images into the software. What you need to do is go to Finder if you're on a Mac, or to Windows Explorer if you're on a PC, and create a directory. Find your card reader in Finder or Windows Explorer and navigate to the images, do a copy, and then download, paste and drag into your new directory. Now let's take a look at my directory structure. It might give you some ideas on how you might want to approach your own organizational process. Now here you'll see that I've got a hard drive that's labeled 516 to 717, and those are the spread of dates that the images represent on this hard drive. Now you can organize things any way you want to. I know a lot of people who do things according to subject matter, and that's fine. It's whatever works for you. But for me, what I do is my brain works from a date standpoint. So I'll choose a date and say February 18th of 17 was my granddaughter's birthday. I also shot a sunset in Bastrop, Texas. I also worked a buzzard that was sitting in a tree in Bastrop on the 16th of January. So however it works for you, go ahead and use that system, but just whatever it is, make sure you use it. And then once you establish your master directory, you have everything else under that. And if I click on Vivian's birthday, is probably the best example. I've got here are the JPEGs on the drive, and then the finished prints, and then the rough TIFF conversions from the raw conversion software is all nested under the master directory of Vivian's birthday on the 18th of February of 2017. All right, so let's go back to our list. And once you've downloaded your images into your new directory, one other thing to remember is do not erase the images on your memory card yet, be it an SD card or a CF card. Be sure not to erase those images yet. At any moment, your hard drive can crash, and then where will you be? A lot of people amazingly erase immediately after they've downloaded. You don't want to do that. Trust me, everything I teach is from experience, okay? I've had everything happen that's bad in this process, so please pay attention, and you won't have the problems that I've had. Now what you want to do is launch your raw conversion software, be that DxO, it might be Capture One or Lightroom or Adobe Camera Raw, whatever it is. You want to launch your raw conversion software, do your culling, make your adjustments, and then when you're ready to convert, you want to make sure and use these settings. It's a 16-bit TIFF, uncompressed, in the ProPhoto color space. Now, a lot of people say Adobe RGB is all you need, but ProPhoto Color is going to make sure that you are capturing all of the different colors that come in off that camera's sensor when you download your images. You also want no compression whatsoever, because compression is a process by which digital information is discarded out of the image, and that's something you do not want to do. So make sure there is no compression. Now, let's take a look at the issue of naming your files. You might think this is a very easy thing, but one more time, the voice of experience is speaking. You don't want to change the name of the native raw image file name. Once more, let's take a look at my directory structure, and I'll show you what I mean by that. And here we are in Vivian's birthday, and you'll notice that my Canon 5D Mark III starts with an underscore, a W, 5, and then an A, and then it gives a 4-digit sequence of numbers with an extension of CR2. And you don't want to lose this 4-digit series right here, actually the whole thing, but specifically that 4-digit series of numbers is something you don't ever want to lose. And if you'll notice here, I have retained the original raw file that was given to the image by my camera, and I added the suffix of DxO, which is DxO Optics Pro, and then version 11 as a TIFF. Now, the reason I do that is because if at some point in the future I want to go back to this image, one of the things I've noticed in this incredibly satisfying industry is that you can look at images that you took 6 months ago, and your impression of what you like and don't like changes completely. Images that you had passed over initially now strike you as being rather attractive. And so if you want to go back and reprocess an image, maybe there's been some improvements in software, you can look and say, okay, well, now there's version 16 is out. The last time I processed this image was version 11. Maybe I want to go back and redo it, see if I can do some different things. You might learn a different technique, etc., etc. There's any number of reasons to know that when you look at an image, when it was processed and what software package was used to do the processing. So always say DxO or LR for Lightroom or ACR for Adobe Camera Raw, whatever initials work for you, and then the version, and of course then the TIFF extension. Now I use DxO Optics Pro quite a bit, so let's go ahead to that program and I'll show you exactly how that's done. Now we're going to go over in a lot of detail the program for DxO, but for this specific issue, let's take a look and see how that's done. Okay, we're in DxO, and believe me, I will give you lots and lots and lots of training on this program in later lessons, but let's, for the moment, just pick an image, and let's just go ahead and pick this one for no apparent reason. And I like it, I want to convert it, and so I go to Customize and Export to Disk, and I've done all my adjustments. Let's assume that all my adjustments have been done, and I'm going to export to disk, and then this dialog box will come up, and you want to make sure and choose TIFF, which is 16-bit full size, meaning there's no compression. The destination has been established. Here, you click on this, go to Custom Folder, navigate through your directory structure to choose the folder you want to go to. Very, very straightforward process. But there's some settings in here. Again, here's the suffix. I want everybody to know, or myself particularly, to know that this was DxO version 11. I don't care what the resolution is, just leave that for default. The largest size, leave all these things default except for the ICC profile, which is going to be ProPhoto RGB. Again, the largest color gamut available to you, guaranteed to capture all the colors that came in off that sensor. You do not want to check this box that says remove EXIF data, and particularly make sure you don't do that in Lightroom. You have that option in Lightroom as well, and you don't want to remove the EXIF data. Whatever you do, do not do that. This wants to be processed as a TIFF and then exported in 16-bit. Again, full size, no compression. Click on Export and everything is done. Now, as we go back to our list, we've done our conversion to the directory that we want it to go to. From that point, you open Photoshop or Lightroom or whatever program you use and process for final output. And again, you want to save in the same directory as your raw files exist. Now, once all that is done and you've processed for final output, whether you've converted the JPEGs, whether you've resized it for print, what have you, everything is in one directory. Back up that directory in a separate hard drive, then you can erase your SD or CF card. Now what you've done is you've guaranteed the highest quality image that your camera can generate for future use. You've made sure that you can find that image in the future. If, for instance, National Geographic finds your image and wants to print it on the front page, which never happens, but if it happened and you can't find that image to resize it and reprocess it for their requirements, you are out of luck. It happened to me one time. Somebody wanted a print of one of my images, and I had changed the name of the image and had one heck of a time finding it before I finally was able to get the guy what he wanted. So learn your lessons from my mistakes. Follow this list. Make sure you follow it, and I'll guarantee you your life will be simpler from this point forward with whatever you have to do with your portfolio.